Why did you turn my music off?
Because I need to speak with you immediately.
Well, I'm kind of in the middle of a workout. Can it wait?
Well, that depends.
It depends. Depends on what?
It depends on how much you're bench pressing, of course.
Well, Bushcraft Bill, I'm bench pressing 180 pounds right now.
And why not 280 pounds?
Well, Bill, because I can't bench press 280 pounds. Maybe one day I can get there, but for right now, I'm just taking care of the dad bod, trying to lose a few pounds.
Well, if not 280 pounds, then this conversation simply can't wait.
Well, that seems pretty unreasonable, Bill, but whatever. What's up?
I understand from a very reliable source that you have used and still use many non-Full-Tang knives. Is this an accurate assessment?
Why, yes, Bill. Although I do own and use many Full-Tang knives, I also own and use many non-Full-Tang knives. Is that a problem?
You need to seriously consider the grave consequences of your actions, my friend.
Grave consequences?
Because did you know that the experts have already spoken on this matter countless times?
Oh, experts.
Because it's been said that your knife should be at least an 1/8 inch thick or a 1/4 inch thick if a tops knife, that it should be a pry bar that works wood, that can support your own weight should you stand on it.
Well, Bill, it seems that you've embellished what the great Morris Kohansky has actually said about knife philosophy. And he didn't mention anything about tops knives. You just threw that in there, didn't you?
Technicality.
Did you know that Morris Kohansky even used many non-Full-Tang knives over the years, training students, including many folding knives? See, Bill, there will always be a place for Full-Tang knives, I get that. But just because a knife is Full-Tang doesn't mean that you can't use a non-Full-Tang knife, nor does it mean that everybody prefers to use a Full-Tang knife.
That's just preposterous.
Preposterous? Preposterous because facts don't care about your feelings?
No, preposterous because you should never risk your life on anything except a Full-Tang blade.
Oh, I get it. I'm risking my life because I'm choosing not to use a Full-Tang knife all the time. Please elaborate, Bill.
Because if you break your knife, you will die.
Bill, first of all, why would you assume that just because a knife is not Full-Tang that it's going to break? You do realize that many civilizations have been using non-Full-Tang knife designs for hundreds of years, and they still use those knives, right? Like the Malaysians, the Cambodians, how about Norwegians, Scandinavians? And if they've designed those knives to be non-Full-Tang and still use those designs today, why do you think that is?
Because they're just silly and naive, you fool. If they don't change their ways and gravitate toward a Full-Tang knife, they will die. Because a knifeless man is a lifeless man.
Oh, silly and naive. Okay. Do you think, Bill, that perhaps it has to do with knowledge and skill set, using specific tools for specific jobs, and not necessarily because it's a Full-Tang or not Full-Tang knife? Do you think that perhaps the most important thing is what you have up inside your cerebral carcass versus what you choose to carry in your hand as a tool? So whether I decide to use or not use a Full-Tang knife, it really doesn't matter.
Yes, it does matter.
Oh, okay. It does matter. So let me ask you something, Bushcraft Bill. Do you use an axe?
Of course I use an axe, you fool. I only use the Gransford Brooks Small Forest Axe. It's recommended by many survival experts, including countless YouTube channels with thousands of subscribers.
So you realize that the axe head is just held on by friction, right? That it's not Full-Tang, right? And that the majority of hatches and hunting axes and splitting axes and chopping axes and felling axes and every other type of axe out there is typically not Full-Tang, and they all work, right?
Always works flawlessly.
So my question to you, Bill, is if your axe works just fine not being Full-Tang, then why not a knife?
Because, you fool, a Full-Tang knife is used to pry, to dig, to make YouTube destruction videos, to chop down trees and forests and mountains and cinder block walls, to dismantle cars, destroy tanks, uses an improvised bridge to cross a ravine, uses a grappling hook to climb up a cliff, and most importantly, and I mean most importantly, to survive Joe X.
Let me ask you something, Bill. Have you ever used your knife to pry, to dig, to chop down cinder block walls, to destroy tanks, or any of the other nonsensical things that you just mentioned? Do you ever plan to borrow your knife to Joe X and just let him intentionally destroy it?
Absolutely not, you fool. But you need to be prepared for such things.
Oh, okay, I see. Prepare yourself for those types of things. Like, you honestly believe that those things and scenarios are just likely going to happen just because. You see, Bill, it's important for you to separate yourself from over-sensationalized survival hyperbole and made-up sensationalized hypotheticals and extremely one-off anecdotal experiences that unfortunately drive a lot of marketing ploys to get people like you and hundreds of thousands of others to actually believe that these situations are going to happen by their own. Essentially what they do is they get people like you and hundreds of thousands of others to fearmonger inside this world of make-believe hypotheticals, thinking that these situations are actually going to happen. See, Bill, truth be told, you most likely could ignite your farts and fly to the moon than ever have one of these situations come upon you by happenstance, unless you're putting yourself into those situations intentionally. You see, Bill, there's nothing wrong with a Full-Tang knife. But there's also nothing wrong with a non-Full-Tang knife if you're smart and intelligent enough to use it. Such as many Mora knives, traditional Scandinavian knives, Norwegian knives, the Malaysian parang, Swiss Army knives, multi-tools, jackknives, other folding knives, the list goes on, my friend. Bill, I will say this, I really do appreciate your concern, which unfortunately is misplaced and a reflection of your own mentality than it is my lack of understanding. You really need to learn to expand your horizons out of the Full-Tang box of survival hyperbole. That would do you some good.
Well, all I will say to you, my naive and tenacious friend, why not just buy the Mora Garberg Full-Tang knife and you'll be just fine. I'm so happy we could have had this conversation today so that I could talk some sense into you.